Can that was not the question. I'm muted. I think I'm unmuted. Can people hear me right now?
No, still muted.
Still muted. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yes. I think you should. If I do this, be able to see this end. Everyone, I'm Stephan at Slacklines. I think most of you know me by now, so not much talking about my person. We came up with a solution for a new Highline safety documentation system. And the main question that came up in creating this was why is there a reason to creating a better Highline safety documentation? We had an incident this year. Most of you are aware of this incident where the main and the backup webbing in a Highline rig broke and both Highline fell to the ground. Luckily, nothing serious happened, but I think it's not hard to imagine that this could have gone way worse. So for me, the question was raised, how can we prevent such an incident in the future? For this to be prevented, we need to know how did this happen, how could this happen? And as far as I could investigate, the main reason for this to happen was documentation. There was one webbing segment in the line that had, I think, more than 300 days in the outdoors. This is even more than 500 days in the outdoors. So, which is quite a lot. Sun exposure, UV exposure, and we can also see in the discoloration of the that this webbing might be past to its prime. But of course, it's kind of hard to evaluate for a rig crew on site how much time did this webbing really use, and what does discoloration. We have seen in yesterday's talks that some of the webbings that we regularly use discolorate super quick. Others don't even discolorate at all, even after several years in heavy sun exposure. So what we know right now is that discoloration not necessarily is the best indicator for knowing how much sun or UV exposure webbing has seen. So obviously the question was raised, how can we improve the documentation of Highline use at a webbing? Ideally, documentation is somehow attached to the webbing, ideally attached to a webbing sleeve, because people need to know what did go in the past during. Several options attach labels in the sleeve. I have two of them on that now. The left one is a printing that can inform and problem that they tend to bleed time and they tend to abrade. So basic hang tags is that as soon as you try to slide across, you will most likely have trouble getting your leash ring across without trouble. So this is like pain in the ass to walk across this. There's another solution that has kind of hang tags, and these hang into some kind of bag to the webbing. And in my experience, this doesn't feel too nice. As soon as you step on this, it feels like slippery, even worse than a loose trick zone. So this is not the best option in my opinion. So we were thinking about how can we improve this, and the ideally the solution can be used by anyone who owns a smartphone. So what's kind of this pre-consideration is having NFC tags connected to the we know from industry, rope access industry brands who attach their NFC chips to the gear directly. Obviously, we don't want any of additional disturbance. So what we did is we just took an NFC chip, put it inside the sleeve of below the chip, so it can't get out anymore, and then program this chip to contain the URL. You'll find it online, where you can find the MBS of the gear, you can find the working load limit, you can, but we change this to not the previous day. Right now, here will be. You will find the manufacturer's recommendation of the of maximum outdoor to add data. You can track in the outdoors. You can track several minor damages that you've seen, and you can track all of this information completely to your preference. So you can enter tables, and you can do in this whatever you like. So one question that can be raised with this is this kind of online text pad, is this proof? So if you buy a used webbing, you see if the line was taken care of correctly. The answer is yes. In this text pad, you will find a time slider, and you can easily back and forth in time, and you can see what kind of changes have been undertaken to this text pad the whole period existed. If anyone tries to manipulate this or the data that's in the text pad, you can find out. Do this in a live demonstration. I have this text pad in here, and we can enter some new data. Maybe we change. It's not showing. Sorry. Why is it not showing? No. Okay, I think in the lag in the Wi-Fi. So if I add some data and add some new data in here, I can go to the timeline. Is it error? And I can go back and forth in time. Huge lag in Wi-Fi. Huh. Okay, I think this doesn't work if I'm streaming simultaneously, because my Wi-Fi appears to be too slow. What should be happening here is that this disappears and see. Sorry for this. Yeah. Yes, now it can be seen here. I can see what kind of changes have been done to the pad, and I can go back and forth in time and see when the changes have been undertaken, and so I have some added layer of security to know what has been done to this webbing. We also itself. This was quite a solution. The problem is we didn't find a good solution that works in the whole entirety of the line. The problem is if you only have some kind of indicator to the loop for maybe some exposition, so only loop might not be the solution. So it would be an indicator that the whole, there are some kind of indicator films out there that are used in the industry. There's some very their products and some kind of their product added to loop. This added so I think a digital solution loop is get. Yeah, another is quite often. This was why we even for sleeve loops because some of the features are going to make it now. We want to sleeve the loop at all. We see another bag of damage samples over here. And I will just hand them around this way and you can take a look. These are all samples of webbing that have been, maybe I give this way, so that's easier. And all of these are webbings that have been in severe storm incidents. And from comparing webbings, what I conclude is most of the damage that we see in storm damages is pretty close to the zoom loops, pretty close to the connections, or even I think 50% of it right at the connection. You can see several damages in the screenshots that I took here, close to the zoom loop, and I think if we think about this, it also makes sense. The lines get detached and they start to, and the only points that stay in this scenario are get undone like this. So the frictions are mostly created at the loops. So in my personal opinion, it definitely makes sense to have loops sleeved in the future to prevent wind damage, or even maybe to, if you don't care about wind damage, to elongate the lifetime of your webbings. Yeah. I think that's what I can say right now. Thanks a lot for your attention. If you have questions, feel free to go right now.
I have one about the timeline.
Yes.
Over quickly.
Yes, come over here and let me know your question. I will open up the timeline.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have a question about the timeline and the gear stats here.
Yeah.
Are those changeable by the user?
Yes.
See whether or not
yes.
Changed.
If a different person opens the, you can see a color code. And if I edit this text, it's purple. And if another person sends you this in 2 minutes, you can check this or on your laptop. Change the text inside. You will get a different color assigned to you. You can see that a different person edited this data. So you can see that different persons manipulated the data inside this pad, and you can also see this in the future.
Also, just a consideration.
Yes.
I was thinking you can store information on the NFC that stored the data.
This was the problem is that if you try to manipulate in ways, So that means that if you have like a text file on this NFC store, like 512 or 20 or 1000 NFC, which is most possible phone, then you have to copy it back, write it back to the NFC. And this was tried we went like about this, and it was like not a viable. To be honest, it's like really
sounds like a fun technical.
yeah.
But like could I don't know how you're adding specific webbing, like maybe a ID code to that, but instead of having just that, like somehow encode the stats with that. So like as a part of the path to timeline, that it's impossible to change this and be mistaken. Like you can look at the URL.
Yes. URL is so what we have is hashtag over here. Yes, and each of these hashtags, I think they have iterate URL. Okay.
Like
How now?
second.
30.
The
entire.
Yeah,
But what just says, yeah, fuck you, you're not allowed in here. So this is probably, I hope this is kind of protected enough for right now. We will see in the future, I think.
But what would prevent you from doing like a password and printing the password on the of the loop?
Yeah, this is another option that we thought about. Having customized labels soon to webbings is super difficult and would increase the working load in these by huge margins. The problem is that right now creating the loop is you have a person going to the sewing machine, you fold the webbing, you have the sleeve, the NFC tag, you sew in the NFC tag, you put it in the sew and after that you have maybe 15 seconds putting the URL on the NFC tag and you're done. This is like, Sasha, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe something like this. You have to add a customized label to this. You have to have a printing process on a machine that's able to print on textile labels.
Why not take a pen and just
Sharpie, 4 letters, 4 digits.
To the sharp, we are at situation. So we are in a closed loop right now, and we go to a day where data on a just bleaches out.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would agree, hacking someone's webbing data of any
Actually, originally,
Guys,
maybe
aside from security and the characters, you have that also encode the information of the
Yes.
line in the URL.
Yes.
So that even at a glance without signal, you can have the information of the line.
yes, I think one of the future projects for this text pad might hopefully be to have this available offline. So you can open this door and when you're preventing your open up this text pad, have it on your phone, and you can edit it offline. It's not possible right now. And if you get back to cellular connection, it just syncs back up to the server. Yes.
Can you quickly turn off your mic, then I'll turn mine off?
Yes, give me a second.
Wait,
I think my
can everybody hear me? A short input. Last week I was at meeting manufacturers and industrial manufacturers, and it's currently trying to all there, and this is that just focus on, there's like scannable, there's a their own solution, and I ask questions because this is now all slacklining, and to learn a little bit about the history of NFC tags, because we also thought about doing something like this from the ISA perspective a couple 3-4 years ago, and we didn't do it. And the thing I just want to mention is basically every company has thought about doing this in the past, right? And these are kind of big companies compared to ours, and most of them have stopped by now and have actually jumped on the train of going towards these companies that just focus on that. So right now, all the big climbing companies are actually outsourcing this to either paper trail or most of them scannable. And Petzl is still holding on to their own solution.
I think Edelrid also has.
No, Reed is going to scannable now, and so on. So they're really going to, and obviously that's some money, and that's definitely another question there. But the reason why all these companies stopped is because they just found the whole maintenance behind this system to be too extreme, the technology changing too fast, and all the problems you already described to be too big. And these are the big climbing companies. So I'm asking you, like, is this something you can aim in the next couple of years now? So you have your standalone solution that works for your things. Is this something you can open up to companies, or is it going to be something you're going to be pushing on your webbings, on your soft goods? Can you tell a bit about this side of development of that?
I think maintaining this.
You have to turn the microphone. I'm off now.
I think maintaining this will be too big of an issue for us right now. Opening this up to other companies, I think Jerry texted me several days ago. Still have to think about how we can proceed with this in the future. Not sure yet, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, adding to that is that our recommendation change. That's another thing. We're learning more about lifetime. The presentation yesterday, I'm going to talk about it later on. So this is definitely something that is like developing. We don't know enough about it yet to fully be convinced how this works.
Yeah, so, but if right now what I'm doing is if a customer buys some webbing, I have to add some version of lifetime recommendation anyways. So if this changes, they still have the printed version where it's wrong. So I think the digital version has at least the advantage that they can change. If I send out a newsletter to all my customers, they can at least change in their pad. So if they sell the webbing or someone else buys it, at least they correct information in it. So I think this might be an advantage.
Okay, cool. Liam, you had a question. 1 second, I quickly have to put you on speaker.
Yes. First, can you mute on the ownership? Like, you wouldn't need to add an owner to the webbing. You can send them an email with the password also. That would work with many other solutions. My question is more with sections, like you're not gonna and every 15 years scanning the new system. So whatever with
I'm sorry, I cannot really hear you. There's some kind of background. I cannot. Please repeat this question.
Can you hit the mic? Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. So for big highlights, we have different. It for have an for connection or with this many sections. I don't know if you have some solution on to provide all the information that when there's different sections.
I your point, but what's maintaining the thing for webbing, after a big memory. So you will bring this down after maybe 7, after maybe 10 days, and you have all these points back at the anchor. You scan them in and just add the data after 10 days. I think it's not feasible to just have data changed in this text pads every single day. This makes no sense in my perspective. I think it's enough data added before rigging and after de-rigging. So this should be enough in my opinion.
That's not fully my point. Like there is 300-meter lines with sections rigged for several months at a time. I know one 200-meter line that's going to be rigged for 6 months. My point is not so much in updating it all the time, more from scan all the different bits in the webbing. So solution to provide information at the anchor so people can access it before going on the line.
Yeah, getting your. I think for this scenario, it might be even enough if people just find the consensus to just have the data for this rig added to the final loop on the static anchor. And just have one saying this is the data for this rig.
Or on the anchor sheet that you put in for the perma rig.
Yes, and Sarah has another solution. You can just out the URL and the QR code, have this attached to the anchor, and everybody just scans in the QR code of this URL and can edit the data over there. So there's many solutions to work around this segmented line issue.
I have a question. Can you add a link to SAR?
Yes, we can. I think what we could do is just entering the link to the SAIR just within the text pad. No problem. Would be in Any further questions? The chips are completely weatherproof, shockproof, ice-proof. They are industrial weatherproof.
Yeah, that's another question.
Also add just to make it easy to print it out for situations where you know that there's not going to be connection or anything. It would at least print it out and have it at the end.
What you can do is to unmute. Give me a second. What you can still do is you can print this whole site. Just have the URL connector. I think there's many options to print this digital solution and bring it to the analog world.
But I mean, in the end, I think we always trust the riggers that they're rigging something nice. Know the it was so I think the whole in the end is still
We turmeric just provide the attach this all these to webbing critical point that might lead and this to be
Somebody else in the. Maybe you can.
There's a question.
Yeah. Might be, I don't know if you already know it, might be a good idea that the manufacturer might be like anyone that connects is will not be used. So these items from a class that's problematic.
I'd rather rely on our customer newsletter. We have like every person orders online in our online shop, so we have email addresses of all people who own rare gear. So if there's or any kind of critical information, rather contact all our customers. I'm muted. Sorry, you couldn't hear this. I was muted. Sorry. In case there's a recall from the manufacturer, all of our customers right now order in online shops, right? So all the Highline gear is ordered online. So any manufacturer and any Slackline shop has email addresses of all the customers who own Slackline gear. So in case of a recall, I would not rely on the NFC or on this text pad information. I'd rather just contact all of the customers directly to warn them about a certain issue with gear.
Problem is they might have resolved that and that might not reach the next person who has that weapon.
Yeah, there might be a gap. That's correct. This information accessed in pads would be horrific administrative effort because we would have to take track of all the text pads and edit information in there. This is like huge. You don't have to run a SQL query to filter for certain strings. These then,
but you don't have a database on the URL, the link, and then like some basic information.
No, we don't take track right now of customers' gear related to the text pad yet because of administration effort.
Okay, so you just send out like the link once, and then you don't
send the link out. We just write it to the NFC tag.
Only the NFC tag knows the link, no any link.
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's basically private to the customer.
Good. Yeah.
Any further questions?
So, with all these points being raised, hard to see maybe why most planning companies abandon the purpose of this type of thing.
No, that's the reason it gets more complex.
I'm aware this is a complex solution. I'm aware this maintenance. Why we can do this.
A short add-on, maybe you've seen it on Slack chat already, but we have been working in the past months, also since the CRG are together, mostly initiated by Slackline, on a logbook, so a classical offline system that can be printed or also their own individual use. So there is a need. Classic was going on in every industrial company in the last 10-20 years. So it really relies on this person then actually doing the entries or whatever club or company that owns the webbing. So this is our now, and the big problem I want to mention here, I already heard it yesterday in the UV presentation, is that we have right now those recommendations for lifetime based on days in the outdoors, and what we can clearly see that there's extreme differences in UV concerning the region of the world and the altitude and combinations of those, and lots of factors we don't know yet. So how important is humidity, rain in this whole discussion? And this has been scientifically studied since, I don't know, forever in the climbing industry, and they have not come up with a final solution. And we have, I don't know, I see Per and Philippe are here in the chat as well. Maybe you can give us a short input on how the climbing industry and maybe rope access has this topic right now. Can somebody of you maybe quickly speak up and give us some quick insights on this?
Hi everyone. I'm not sure I can give a quick easy answer, but aspects of industries handle this differently. I think the most important part of relevant for slacklining is the questions research that's been done by the UIAA together with Ethel and others regarding canyoning harness, which, as an example, will change their recommendations from maximum lifespan from 10 years to 2 years because of the possible very extreme situations of cycles of UV together with voice and dry. Specific situations where not just UV light is a big issue, but other factors have an effect on lifespan. But also there's a big difference between the slackline situation. You might have a permanent line in situ for many weeks or months. We almost never do in recreational climbing process. We can have mountain. The safety level there is another. We don't load it normally, and it's just used for one season, which is a couple of months on a high mountain. Also kind of similar, maybe have a permanent course on the sport climbing route. But there you have multiple backups, because even if you have high degradation, you have a second backup, the second quick row maybe a few meters below. So the situation for slackline is very specific, and I don't see any straight up comparison situation.
Yeah, it's mainly like the renting rented lifestyle. Yeah, we don't have skylines yet rented, so we have this historic situation which big trend also for us to maintain regular training for athletes. We're not gonna with changing that. We're doing highlines, so knowing more about the specific year and how it comes up in different regions. This is probably the closest to leaving a course. That's why we'll here in test part 2. So these pace planning. So you, I think, having a course like internal system people heads. But
well, there are some.
They already exist, and the ones there too. So, but maybe for walking line, will way having just training actually with lining, which line slight. That's where we actually to nothing. Yeah. Since we have you here, Philipp and Per, maybe a related. Could you maybe give us a quick insight on specific nylon and the different types of nylons that are out there, and their difference on in terms of PE? We're slowly getting to learn very specific nylon UV, maybe about the UV treatment and how you handle it within the stack would be very interesting in terms of also doing this before we actually put it up and then keeping that specifically. And do you have anything you can share on this for us? I don't know, Philipp, maybe?
Yeah.
You out 1 second, I have to go on. Give me a second. Yeah, now it's good. Okay, sorry.
And I was just afraid that I'm not a textile expert. I can't answer the type of question. I can answer regarding the standards, and the answer is that we don't regulate it. I deny the UAA, we don't define standards in general. Normally everything that's textile must be by man-made fibers, and that's the same European standard. But then we have, not we at UAA, but in standards in general within European standards in 7, we also have legislation and EP regulations that have much more demands on how the manufacturer will choose and prove that is safe, and with technical findings that the manufacturer must produce before starting production. These types of questions are looked into thoroughly. So discussing other manufacturers and notified bodies one way to get more information.
But if you want, I can provide you like maybe more information in the next days, next week. Then you can share it with us.
Thanks a lot. To have access to primary literature on these topics, but it doesn't seem to be very conclusive on what we are specifically looking for. Let's just take the last 2 questions, and then we should also go for a break here. So maybe just, I think Liam, you were first. Can you?
So there could be some parallel developments. I think a very interesting topic is what happens with working disposal and how do we use that material? Do we incentivize that? Does it not like, oh damn, I no longer do what do I do? That could be
project on this a while ago in the ISA showing examples of webbing reuse for different purposes. So upcycling purposes. The Nature and Access Commission of the ISA is looking into these kind of things. Want to answer to his comment?
Within already some changes. But it has been updated. So if it's with manufacturers of personal protection, like the within the industry, plumbing industry, could be a way forward.
Okay, let's take Johan's question and then go for a.
Okay, thank you. Think about it. One of the ways that we put kind of track these things and is actually what this position or this slackline or this text is at each point, whatever it is. It's for the future. And stuff. And
I mean, we all have CRT, right? So, we now up in the.
I would say if you find these that are actually more than that, I think we can and we will see what.
Hey. One, I think let's go for at least 10 minutes of pause. I know it's not long, but then we have more presentations coming. Next one from Walter. So thanks a lot for joining. Stay in the call, and we're just going for a little coffee and talk here, and see you in 10 minutes.
Ja. Hast die Option Android mit Road on his hand, because you can have on your smartphone, you can have an app that can